Wednesday. I just got done training, as you can tell. It was pretty good. It was pretty short actually. It was only like 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes. So it was nice. Yeah, it was a nice, short, sweet, and to the point. Um, I don't know if you guys can see this, but you kind of notice how the purple bedspread is like messy. It's because the cat's laying under it. Anyway, so today is weigh-in Wednesday, and I'm gonna go ahead and post my weight for the week right here. So I'm down just like 0.2 pounds this week, which is not shocking. I kind of treaded the line of that like 186.4 all week. I really didn't move off of that weight up to like 0.8 and then like down again to 0.2. So I really kind of stayed very stable with that weight this week, which is fine. Like that happens. That's why I did not film my kind of refeed slash mukbang slash mukbang, whatever you want to call it this week, because one, I did not feel I was depleted, and two, I just was kind of noticing that trend. But one thing that was different this week from other weeks was I did my Freshly meals this week, and also this like past week, and then also the other one I got was HelloFresh. I couldn't remember what it was. So I did get some of those meals this week too, and I've been trying those out. One thing I've noticed about kind of like not really the Freshly meals, but the HelloFresh meals are like pretty high they're really like they're pretty high calorie comparative, right, to what I would eat in a normal meal. And they're also pretty high in fat, and they're pretty high like in sodium and stuff. So so I wonder if some of it is just a little bit like I've been within my normal macro range or whatever, because when I eat a higher calorie meal or like a meal that has maybe more fat in it than I normally would, I just adjust throughout the day, so that kind of fits my macros, right? And so so I noticed that this week too. That was a little bit different. Like my food was a little bit different. I've really been enjoying it. Like it's nice to have a kind of change, and I have modified some of those meals. So what I did is when I got the box, you guys saw me unpack my Freshly box, but when I got my HelloFresh box, I prepped all the veggies that go with each of the meals, or the potatoes that go with the meals, and then I've just been doing the meat part as I wanted to eat that particular meal. So this week I had this pesto like mozzarella like burger, and normally if you do it the way that the recipe says, it's like the whole meal is 1,200 calories. Like that's almost all the food I eat in a day, right? So right now I'm like 1,600. So I was like, hell nah, I'm not, like, it's not worth it for all that. So what I did is I just ate the burger this week, and then I have the potatoes already made, like, so I can eat them, you know, later this week or whatever, you know, with a different meal, like just as the starchy carbs or whatever. So that was one thing that I did a little bit differently. And then but yeah, like I've noticed that the food is very good. I will say that with the HelloFresh stuff, it's very good, but it's just super calorically dense. Now, it's definitely better, I would say. The meals that I got were like the healthiest ones I could find. Like you can kind of pick from some of the meals. And again, I had like a, you know, little like freaking code thing or whatever. And so, yeah, so I was able to save money on it, which was nice. Like I will say this, like I don't know, it's really good. And if you don't like to come up with things to cook, I 100% would recommend it. 100%, right? 100%. Everything tastes very good. It's very clear on how you make it. It's easy, like easy directions, you know, whatever. But if you are in a point in your journey, if you're on a weight loss journey, where you are trying to kind of be in that deficit, you might find it might be a little hard for you to find meals that kind of fit in with what your plan is. But you could easily, like, if you knew that you were gonna like have a couple of days or like a day, like you wanted to use one of the meals as like your cheat meal or something, you totally could. Like it's, you know, like some, like I said, this one burger and like with the bun and if you use the potatoes and stuff, like it's 1,200 calories. Like, I mean, it's crazy, but yeah, it would be a cool like refeed or like a cheat meal or something if you didn't want to do fast food. I think that would be kind of cool. The downside though, right, is that the ingredients are fresh, right? So you do have to like use them within, you know, probably 5 days or so after you get them, so maybe 7 days if you wanted to stretch it out, you know, or do what I did is I cooked all the vegetable aspects of it to keep that stuff fresh and then just froze the meat. Or the protein, if next there was shrimp in one, chicken in one, and then hamburger, like burger, ground beef in one. So you could do that too, I suppose. Kind of stretch that out a little bit. I would say, again, like everything, it tastes super good, but it is really calorically dense too, right? There's a lot of fat in this stuff. But if that's not a concern, then I would 100% recommend it. I think it's awesome. And if you are a fast food eater, if you eat out multiple times a day, and I do know people who do this, you know, just because of their jobs and stuff, it's about the same price probably. You could probably do the meals cook these meals and spend about the same amount of money every week. So something to think about if you're looking for something. Sorry, my eyes are itching. Like, I don't know if I got like dust in them doing push-ups or something. But yeah, but then the freshly meals, right, which are the frozen meals, those are really good. Like, those I actually wish were not as expensive as they are, because they are a little bit higher in fat, but the macros are really balanced. You know, they're pretty much a 30-30-30 split, right? And that's about what I eat. I think right now my carbs are a little bit lower, my fats are a little lower too, and then like my proteins maybe a little bit higher, but like, you know, so whatever that comes out to be, maybe it's like 45, you know, and 15 and 20 or whatever, percentages wise. And so that way they're kind of bad, but they're super convenient. They're very tasty. You know, I've loved having that option, just to kind of get away from my normal boring stuff. But yeah, but a couple of things about, again, with those is, again, the fats are pretty high. Like most of the meals I think that I have are like 25 grams of fat. Like, they're pretty high. And that's about half of what I would eat in a normal day. So it's actually more than half of what I would eat right now. And then again, like the sodium is a little bit higher too, so I think that's been a little bit of my issue this week. And then my training's been good, super good. But I do have, obviously, if you've watched any of my recent videos, like, you guys know my dad is not doing well. Yeah, it's just, and that's really stressful for me, and it's stressful for a number of reasons. One is I live 5.5 hours away. Two, I can't see him because of fucking COVID. They won't let anyone into the hospital to see anyone. You can't go in, even if, like, I mean, maybe if he was dying, like, they might let us in. Even with a COVID test, like, even if you test negative, they don't let you in. Like, it's not, you know, and I just, like, I'm not trying to be all political and stuff, because I think that this has become a very political thing for a lot of people in our country, and so many people have lost loved ones and, you know, didn't get to see them before they passed away, and you know, just, it's awful. It's fucking awful. And like, at what point, like, are we gonna just use some fucking common sense, like, with some of this stuff? You know, like, I'm sorry, but if I get tested and I'm negative, like, I'm not gonna give COVID to my dad. Like, I'm no bigger risk to him than his nurse, like, to be honest. And, you know, and obviously I know I'm not wearing an N95 and I'm not wearing a face shield and I'm doing all this stuff, but like, you know, it's like, at what point do we just take a step back and we just say, listen, if you have a negative COVID test and you come in, you know, and you say you come in from out of town, like, obviously I don't live in the same city that my parents live in, right? So, I mean, I'd have to drive there and quarantine for 2 weeks, you know, probably, right? Get tested here and then drive home and get tested again and show them that, you know, I don't have a positive COVID test, and I've never had a positive COVID. I've never been tested. I have no reason to, right? You know, because I've never exhibited symptoms, you know, whatever. And, you know, and then, okay, you're negative, you go see your dad, because, like, he's had 2 really, like, bad days in a row where he's, you know, agitated and he's angry and he's not listening and he's not taking his medication right now. And it's like, you know, my dad's wife calls me and she's like, you know, he'll listen to you, you call him. And I'm like, I'm not going to speak to him. Like, because number one, I need to talk to his nurse first, right? Like, you know, I've been waiting for someone to call me. I'm actually going to try to call them again at like 8 o'clock just to see maybe if it's a little quieter, and like, just get some information about what is going on, because he can't go to rehab until he's stable but he's not going to stabilize, you know, until they're able to get some different medication in him. And if he's refusing to take it, you know, it's icky, right? You know, and they can't force him. And I'm hoping that maybe there is a injectable version of some of this medication. I have no idea what the psychiatrist is putting him on, but I'm hoping that we get to that, right? You know, because that would just be easier, I think. And then, you know, it would at least get some of this stuff into him and, you know, maybe help with some of this, like, you know, agitation and anger and stuff he's feeling. And because he can't go to a rehab place, right, to a facility, you know, until he's like not normal, right? I don't want to use that, but until he's under, like, his outbursts are like under control, right? You know, and he can't help it. And I don't know if he knows what's really going on. Like today, my dad's wife called and said that he was, you know, wanted to call the police because he's being held against his will. And I genuinely think that, yes, I think some of that is the stuff going on with his brain, right, with the dementia, the Lewy body and stuff. But, like, I also think that some of it's just my dad, right, because he's annoyed and he wants to go home. So you kind of have a mix of things going on with him right now. And he will not be going home ever. He does need to have full-time care. And I'm totally fine with that. And I'm not saying that in a heartless way, because the last thing I obviously want is for my dad to be in a nursing home. But because he doesn't seem very old, right? He's only 77. So you're like, oh, you know, my grandpa was 90 when he went to a nursing home. So, I mean, it doesn't seem fair, right? You know, the 77-year-old would be in a nursing home. But yeah, like, it's better for him to be there, right? And eventually I will share, you know, it's not just about the Lewy body. It's about stuff at his house too. And, like, it's better for him to be there. And once we get through all this, like, I will share some more details. Yeah. And about why my brothers and I are okay with this decision, you know, to have him be in a long-term care situation, because, again, it's safer for him. And I just hope, like, he has so many other health issues. I mean, he could die before he even gets there. You know what I mean? And that's a terrible, terrible thought to have. And, like, it's heartbreaking. And I just never want my dad to think that, like, we left him in this hospital, you know, to, like, die, you know. And I don't think that I don't think it's likely, you know, and I don't think that he really, I mean, he knows where he is, like, and he knows that something's not right. And he also, I think, is aware that he is not acting like himself, because he has said that to me, you know, and you know, so I think he's aware on some level, but like my dad is still in there, right? You know, he's just, like, again, like, his brain is just, like, out of control right now, right? You know, and so they just need to get some different meds in him to hopefully make a difference. And I hope that it does. And then they get him stabilized, you know, which will probably take a few weeks. And then hopefully he should be eligible actually to get his first dose of his COVID vaccine before he goes to whatever facility he ends up in. There are two that are in the area right where he lives that are close by to where his wife lives and where my brother lives. Both of them have excellent long-term care. Both of them have memory care, which he obviously is going to need, because they kind of treat it like an Alzheimer's, you know, / Parkinson's disease. And they also have really good physical therapy. And, like, one in particular has excellent PT. And, like, I think that's what my dad needs, just to be more independent and stuff. And then my dad's wife mentioned a third facility today, which ironically is where my dad used to work. My dad used to be a nurse, and he used to work there. And so that was the place he worked at before he retired. And so I didn't know that they had there. I mean, I think I knew they had memory care, but I didn't know that that was potentially an option for him. And yeah, so that maybe is an option too. Again, I don't necessarily trust my dad's wife's, like, memory. I'm not sure I've been there before, guys, you know that. Like, I don't trust necessarily that what she's telling me is current information, you know, that it's not real. And, like, today when she's telling me that my dad's losing his mind, you know, whatever, but he was, like, losing his mind yesterday, and he was real agitated yesterday, so I didn't talk to him. And then, so I mean, she acts like it's happening today, but I'm not sure if it's happening today, if that makes sense. So there's that. Um, but anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I need to get a snack. And then, what time is it? It is 6 o'clock Central Time. I have a condo board meeting today at 8 o'clock. No, at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock in an hour. Sorry, not 8 o'clock. We're discussing replacing the chimney on the building next door. And they have one estimate for it, and it is $16,000. And I was like, to that, because that's how much the roof costs to replace in 2016 when they redid the roof. They did both roofs, so it was $32,000, you know, and I was like, hell nah, hell nah. Yeah, so, well, thanks guys for listening. Like I said, like, the stuff with my dad has been really stressful, and there's just a bunch of shit going on at work, and it's really stressful, and it's just a lot. It's just a lot, you know, and then with like all the COVID rules and, you know, with not being able to see my dad and like, and, you know, and I'm going to ask, I'm going to be like, can I get a court order? Like, is there anything that I can do, you know, to like, you know, if they thought it would help, you know, if I went there and saw him, like, I don't know. I don't think it would, but, you know, again, like I have a fear that, like, I don't want him to think that we're just leaving him there, because that's kind of where he's at right now. But tomorrow he may be totally different, and that's the weird thing about this disease is he's like, one minute he's fine, the next minute he's not, and it's, you know, we're just trying to like get him, like I said, like to a more stable state so he can get into a rehab facility, and, you know, and then they can help him and stuff, and they're more equipped, and I think I've mentioned that, nursing homes, long-term care, they're more equipped to deal with people with dementia than hospitals are. They see it more, like they understand it, like they understand what to do, they can get creative with my dad, you know, all this stuff. And so I'm hopeful that, you know, in the next couple weeks, like he can get there. And then I hope that in Wisconsin they have started to vaccinate folks over 65, which obviously my dad would qualify for, my mom does, my grandma does, and stuff. So I think it's like the first week of February were the first like appointments and stuff that they were opening up to people. So so I'm hoping that maybe if he gets vaccinated, like maybe they would let me see him if he ends up getting moved to a long-term situation in the next few weeks, and he's got, you know, his first dose maybe next week, and then the second one or whatever shortly after, and then maybe they would let me see him. So because obviously I mean, I'm 41, like I'm not going to be, and I'm healthy, like I'm not going to be eligible. I don't work, I'm not a frontline worker, right? So I'm not going to be eligible for a long time. And so, but I will not wait 9 months to see my dad. Like that's not an option, you know? And it's like, I will call you, Fauci. I will call you. I will call all of the CDC, and I will be like, you need to let me see my dad. Like, this is not cool. And I feel terrible, right? You know, for all these people that haven't seen like their grandparents and their great grandparents and their parents. And there was this couple in Florida who didn't see their son. He was in a group home. They had to go to court, you know, to like get an injunction so they could go get him, you know, and he had, like, it was like, I think he had autism. He's like on the spectrum. And they didn't see him for like 9 months. And it's like, how do you explain that to someone, you know? And it just seems very inhumane. The whole thing seems very inhumane. And again, when, if putting on a mask works, then why can't I see my dad, right? Like, why can't I? Like, it seems weird. It seems weird, you know. And then obviously with him being in the hospital, he's at risk for, you know, infection. He's at risk for COVID. He's at risk for all the things. And so, like I said, I just, you know, I hope he doesn't die before he gets out, you know. And then, you know, I don't think he will. Like, I'm not trying to be super morbid about it, but yeah, so I just, you know, hopefully we can get him stable, get him out, get him into a facility, you know, and then I can head up north and I can see him. So anyway, guys, it has been a pleasure. If you like my videos, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, like all the famous YouTubers say. And I will see you guys again on Friday. And thank you very much for listening and being there and letting me vent about my dad and all this bullshit going on in my life. And I will see you guys again on Friday. Take care. Bye-bye.